I didn't know my brother has every single trade paperback. It's so hard to find a copy of Volume 1, the collected edition, for less than $100. You cannot find it anywhere. I found it on one site for $35, and I'm going to order it on this week. This week I'm getting it. And then I'm going to get Volume 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to get Daredevil by Brubaker. And then I'm going to get Daredevil by Bendis and Malieve. I actually heard that was good.
All right, do my clap. All right, how we doing, Weird Science? This is Brandon. I'm coming at you guys along with Trevitt with this week's Marvel Minute. According to popular opinion from you guys on Twitter, Venom #5 was our winner for the week in the book we're going to cover. We got writer of Mike Costa, and then of Gerardo Sandoval, Ivan Coelho, and then color artists of Dano Sanchez Almara, Israel Silva, and Andreas Mosa. And that's a Marvel Comics title. And then we're going to get into the blurb here and talk a little bit about Venom #5. Hell of an art team there. I don't think there's an American name in the bunch there.
No, not a one.
That is crazy. I had a hard time with that. I practiced before we hit record there this morning. I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to fumble all these names. Anyway, yeah. Venom has been quite the symbiotic slut when you really go back and examine his history. Clintar with numerous hosts, spawning several son/daughter offspring characters, and typical Marvel fashion of late in numerous and varied label series titled with a fresh #1 on the cover. Venom's latest host is Lee Price, former Army Ranger, whose clashing ideals with the healed symbiote have made for an interesting who is playing who tale so far. So let's jump into issue 5 on the heels of issue 4's cliffhanger, as Venom and Scorpion renew old grudges.
Aluminium.
Yeah, that was a little longer. That was longer than it needed to be there. I was like, I knew that as I was typing it, but I went with it anyway.
It reminded me of the way British people say aluminum. Aluminium or something like that.
Yeah, it's typed Venom. I don't know why I said Venium. Anyway. Did a little research here before we kick off into the issue, just to give everybody a quick rundown of why I think Venom's a symbiotic slut. And you know, as course as everyone knows, Eddie Brock started things off after the symbiote Spider-Man, and everyone knows that's how he started. And then it moved on to Mark Gone after a few little kind of trysts between those two, but really nothing that stuck or lasted. After Mark Gone, who was a Scorpion, it moved on to Flash Thompson, old friend of Spider-Man, and now a military agent. Flash Thompson spawned Mania, which is kind of like a female Venom that ended the previous Space Knight arc, and you can get a little more information on her there. And then the current host of the symbiote is now Lee Price, who is, like we mentioned in the blurb there, former Army Ranger, kind of like a gun runner bad guy now, and all around not really a good guy. This is where the symbiote is having some issues, because it itself is now trying to kind of find a good host, like, you know, a solid dude like Spider-Man used to be. Or still is, but you know, not used to be, but wants a host like pure host like Spider-Man again.
Yeah, he wants a good guy. He's sick of. He's very conscious of this evil. His or her. I always think of the symbiote in this series, the way it speaks, is like a female. But it's searching for. It wants someone, a good person, because I didn't have all the evil purged out of it. Like, wasn't the symbiote cleansed or something like that?
Yeah. Well, the Clintar is basically the race. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
And they're not evil by nature. You know, they're good good beings for whatever reason.
They feed off their hosts,
Because of
right?
this one, well, yeah, but because of this one's experiences, it had turned bad, and yeah,
Yeah.
they did purify it by the end of the Space Knight series. So it is basically, back to normal, not necessarily bad, but at times, make bad decisions if it's under pressure, or if it has a bad host like Lee is at this point in time, will do bad things because it's basically forced to. It'll be
Yeah.
like a conscience to the person, but doesn't really control their behavior or force them to do any actions known to or thought to back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody
So
else is I was gonna say
go ahead.
everybody else
Sorry,
has
man.
had problems with the symbiote in the past, right? Like people have a problem with the symbiote controlling them versus them controlling the symbiote, as where Lee can actually control it.
Yeah, yeah. Because of how the cleansing happened and it being back to normal. They really get into the kind of the history of the suit um, in the Space Knight series, and it's if anybody is any sort of Venom fan at all, and they missed that series, I'd recommend they go back and read it because it was very underrated in my opinion, and a hidden gem of the all new, all different line.
I've only read the first few issues, but the art is fantastic. I got to get back into that.
Yeah, the art's super good. The middle arc is basically, I think it's like issues 6 through 9, where they kind of explore like the planet of the Clintar and everything, and why this one's corrupted and evil at points. Um, so if you have any sort of interest in the history of that suit, that's where you can find all that out. But anyway, as we get into issue 5, the story kind of has a few different layers to it as well, because Lee is kind of a former Army Ranger just trying to make do and get some money to be well off for himself, but goes about it in the wrong way, obviously.
Yeah.
Uses his skills he's acquired over time to do bad things, and kind of feels like the world owes him something after his experiences in the military. And this is how he goes about getting that due. He ends up dealing with the Black Cat. He's kind of trying to, in a way, dick her over and get some sort of control of the criminal empire. And things really aren't going well for him because the people that work for Black Cat kind of suspect he's up to something and he's hiding secrets. And that secret is that he has control of the Venom symbiote.
Yeah, there was a
So
Scorpion is the most
yeah,
skeptical about Lee.
Mark Goggin, and then this other kind of red-haired dude. I forget his name. It's in the notes, and we'll get to it in a little bit here. But basically, issue 4 ended with Lee being set up again by Mark, Scorpion, and they started fighting at the end of the issue, which caused the symbiote to spring into action to save Lee, and resulted in Mark's suspicions being confirmed, and Scorpion and Venom started battling to end that issue. So we picked that up here in a way because Spider-Man starts the issue off on a rooftop eating some sweet and sour chicken and browsing a little social media. He picks up a feed of Venom and Scorpion via Facebook Live action, and swings in that direction. This is, I don't know, to me, kind of one of the better ways Spider-Man has been written in some time, kind of since the Civil War miniseries. I like when he's jokey and he doesn't take anything seriously. That's the Spider-Man that everyone loves,
Yeah, it seems to be like classic Spider-Man in this issue, to the
Yeah,
point where it almost feels like it almost feels like he's not the Spider-Man that we've been seeing for like the past year.
Yeah, because Parker Industries Spider-Man wouldn't be eating sweet and sour chicken on top of the building.
Water tower, yeah. And he's got like he's using his cell phone. He's not using his webware. But I mean, after Clone Conspiracy, the webware is kind of junk anyway. But
Yeah, nobody's using it, but I think Peter would still use it.
Yeah, I think Peter would still use it too. Like,
if he's not using it, that's not going to be a good look for his company. You know,
no.
Oh no, this is really fine, but I'm not using it.
And his spider symbol's not glowing. It's kind of strange, but it seems like classic Spider-Man. Like he's hilarious. Tell it like you're right. He's very jokey, like super jokey in this book.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's not really a continuity issue. It's just how he's.
No.
I think it's how he's drawn this issue, and they just wanted, because it's a classic quote unquote battle issue between Venom and Spider-Man. They wanted it to have that classic, feel
That
and
classic
focus.
feel to it, yeah. And they're bringing him in heavy in the next issue because it's 150's next, right? Is that next?
I don't know if they changed it. We'll get to that towards the end here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming up very soon.
But from there, we get the Venom and Scorpion fight, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, it does. It takes up the first, act of the issue, but it looks awesome. The art, which, I'm not going to go through and mention that entire art team again, but they do an excellent job throughout the whole issue.
Oh, they really do.
And especially the fight scenes, they look great.
They do look great. And you would never be able to tell it's like 4 different inkers and colorists.
No, I literally don't fill the credits out when I do the notes until the very end, or even really look at them when I'm reading the issue. And when I started writing the art team up in the credits, I'm like, holy crap, this is a hell of a long art team, and I couldn't even tell it was more than one person, really, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, normally you can tell, because I remember when we did that Captain America issue where it had like 9 different colorists, like you could definitely tell from page to page. But this, it's like very fluid all the way through. Like it's the same artist. You would never know the difference. Great job.
Anyway, where were we? Oh, we're only on bullet point 2 here. Anyway.
Bullet point 2, yeah.
Back to action here. We resume the fight between Venom and Scorpion, whose cover is now blown, and as he takes on Scorpion, and that fight continues from last issue, Spider-Man intertwines between the two, which increases, the ruckus around the area. A cool little scene happens where he gets some web in Venom's mouth, basically to shut him up. He still thinks this is Flash as well. Spider-Man has no idea the symbiote has gone to Lee, and Flash isn't in possession.
Because he does that "I Love Lucy" line where he's like, "You got some splaining to do." Like that. Yeah. That's funny.
Because him and Flash have kind of, towards the end of Space Knight, the Space Knight series, have ironed things out with each other, and they were cool with each other again. So this has taken Spider-Man off guard. Venom is, not Lee. The Venom symbiote is freaking out. So like you get some narration from the symbiote telling Lee, "We got to get the hell out of here. Spider-Man's here."
Yeah.
This is not good news.
It seemed concerned for Spider-Man because it's like it says we can't hurt Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, it's also trying to be good. It knows Spider-Man's a hero and Lee does bad things. So it wants to just get the heck out of here before Lee makes the symbiote do something to Spider-Man, basically, So Lee does his best. Yeah, and that's what Scorpion's trying to do. He wants the power back. Lee does his best to try to hold the symbiote together, because it's been a struggle between the two. The symbiote wants nothing to do with Lee, so it's always trying to escape. But Lee, through his military training, like his psychic military training, has been able to keep a hold of the symbiote and not let it escape him. You get some nice callbacks towards the end of this fight with Spider-Man, with the Daily Bugle reference, kind of showing the speed of the news nowadays. Like there's already a Spider-Man the Menace article up there. Spider-Man just showed up.
Spider-Man and then you got and Scorpion go free. He's like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, like the fight literally just ended. That article's already up. And then there's a dude yelling at Spider-Man that Spider-Man actually saved for ruining his $400 jeans. So again, you get kind of classic Spider-Man moments here.
I didn't get the "everyone's a critic" thing after he said that. He's like, "Hey man, did you have to tackle us?" He's like, "These jeans are $400." He's like, "Everyone's a critic." Like,
yeah, like Spider-Man's just taking it from all sides here. Anyway, Lee and Venom, after their Irish goodbye, shout out to Andrew, on the flight, you know, they returned to timeout. Let me restart here. My shout out interrupted my flow of following the notes.
I feel off.
Lee and Venom, after their Irish goodbye, okay, they just left the scene, so they took Venom's advice. They returned to the Bugle reporter that has kind of caused this whole ruckus and scene to begin with. And Lee wants the information this guy has about the Black Cat, because he was writing an article, which is why the Lee and Mark were sent to get this information and shut him up in the first place, basically. I'm explaining that if you want to help me out there.
Scorpion took the this is how this whole fight started, is when they got there, Scorpion decided that he was going to take Lee out, right?
Yeah.
He was going to use
This
the
was the
opportunity.
setup. So Black Cat sent Lee to shut this dude up and not have him write the article. They suggested Mark go along because they don't really trust Lee 100% yet.
Yeah, and Mark doesn't trust him at all.
They used it. Yeah, they used this as an opportunity to take Lee out, because they just don't want anything to do with him.
You know, I don't think Black Cat
That's
has
what started
anything to do with that, right? Like, this is all Scorpion on his own.
This is Scorpion and that redheaded dude.
Yeah, because they know that he has Mark's always very, very skeptical about him and doesn't trust him, and he knows there's something else going on, because Lee is definitely hiding something, like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
And
they
when
didn't know he had possession of Venom. They knew something was going on. He wasn't telling them, but they didn't know it was Venom per se, and now they do.
Yeah.
So Lee gets the information from this reporter, and basically what he wants first and foremost is this redheaded dude. His name is Adams. Address, and he's going to confront him. Yep. So we go on from there. We have Venom confronting this Adams dude in his apartment, and this Adams guy is the associate of Black Cat who helped set Lee/Venom up. And again, he wasn't wrong about any of this, but it wasn't with Black Cat's permission. So Venom basically uses that Adams to his side, you know, and what he thinks now is he's got Adams on his side and kind of an inside track to get a one-up on these police he's had to be working for.
He thinks he's going to get over on the FBI.
Yeah. So moving on here. I mean, this is only basically the end of the first arc, so the first 5 issues, but this is a pretty layered story, so I hope we're doing a good job explaining it. But, you know, ignore the ratings and Comic Book Roundup, because it's been interesting. It's, you know, got a whole bunch of different angles going on, and they all make sense. The timeline is clear and very focused. It's kind of like, you know, an FBI spy-ish, you know, who's working for who's dicking who over type of story, you know?
Yeah, on top of another, like, sub-story between, when I don't know if this has ever been done before, because I'm not too familiar with Venom's history, but the nice inner dialogue between the symbiote and Lee, which I thoroughly enjoy the most about this series.
Yeah. Like, it's an internal struggle between the symbiote and Lee, while an external struggle around both of them goes on. It's just an all-around shit show everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, between Lee and Black Cat, because, you know, he wanted to earn his way into her operation, but then, you know, the FBI kind of screws that up a little, and he comes up with a better plan to basically just take everyone out and stand while the power vacuum happens, so he can make out on the deal.
Yeah. So we're gonna move along to the next scene here, and we get one of the moments that you mentioned you've been enjoying between Venom and Lee, as they have one of their back and forths between each other. It's kind of like, you know, a juxtaposition. As Venom tries to dissuade Lee from being too drastic in any of these actions he's considering on taking. He's definitely against killing anybody. He wants to make sure Lee is careful because he also is for even though he hates Lee, he doesn't want anybody to die. He's kind of heroic in that way, good or bad. Nobody's dying on his watch.
Yeah,
As
always
far as Venom
questioning Lee's
goes,
decisions.
yeah. So Lee gets pissed. Is digging around in his mind because Venom starts bringing up memories of Lee's past. And Lee basically starts they show it as Lee smacking the symbiote around, but I think it's more like a mental manipulation that he does to the symbiote, and they just show it as an external, like him beating on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's very abusive. I mean, this isn't the first time that he's smacked the symbiote around.
No, like he's always beating on this thing, but I don't think he's necessarily physically beating it up. I think it's more of like they show it as him beating it up, but it's Lee just playing mind games, like shutting him out of his mind. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I think that's totally correct because especially these two pages when they're having this inner dialogue with each other, it looks like they're sitting in a room, and then you get flashes of Lee's history, but it turns out they're not in a Lee is inside the symbiote and they're just standing in a room, and all this is going on inside like their head, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're
Yeah,
sitting and having a
exactly.
conversation, but it's all going on in their brain, like in the symbiote. You know, I think the
Yes,
symbiote allows
yes.
them to do that. So,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
So yeah, it is. It comes off. They do that as a way to keep you interested visually in the comic instead of having a Bendis style conversation with the two motherfuckers just talking to each other the whole issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then there's actually
It's
a
a
point
good
to
way
it.
to right. That's how you write comics, not just have people going back and forth for 6 issues.
No, and then there's actually good stuff like the symbiote learning about Lee's history. So I say she because I feel like the symbiote's a girl, is getting to know Lee better. So it sees that Lee had friends and Lee actually cared about people, but something might have happened while he was in the military that led him to be this like standalone kind of guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like the last man
So
standing.
yeah. Back to the story here. We got Venom swinging through the city with this Adams dude hanging on his back, and Venom is taking him to meet these police that have been trying to, basically control Venom and Lee and get them to work for him. It turns out that the copper is on the take with the Black Cat, so this is all blowing up in Lee's face.
Oh yeah.
Because now Adams and this cop kind of have the upper hand on him. And this results in more bad news for Venom as they end up firing a rocket his way, and this giant fight breaks out on the rooftop. Have this intel on the symbiote because it used to work for the government, and they know Lee's in possession of it.
Yeah, they were trying to blackmail him so they could get information about the underworld.
Yeah, and they also wanted, at one point they told him they want Spider-Man's identity.
Yeah, they wanted Spider-Man's identity because they know the symbiote
Yeah.
has it. And the funny part is
Yeah.
that only one of the two FBI agents is on Black Cat's payroll. So,
Yeah, that's
like,
the one that keeps showing up.
yeah, that's this guy with the handlebar mustache. And then the other
Yeah.
guy is an actual good, honest to God FBI agent, not a
Yeah.
criminal.
Even though they played it off in the beginning, it was pretty cool. Like it was the reverse. So this is kind of like, a pretty cool twist.
Yeah.
It's best to control Venom because the fire all around Venom is making him just flip. Lee's like, "Don't you dare leave me, or we're both dead."
Because that's one of his weaknesses, right? Fire.
Yeah, fire, sonics.
I remember that from
kind of like loud bell ringing noises.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that from the Renew Your Vows, the first series when Peter defeated Venom in the fire.
Yeah, and Peter got the symbiote off him to begin with in a bell tower. Anyway, Lee does his best to control Venom in this situation. He kind of pulls down this water tower nearby to put some of the fire out, and then uses that momentum to jump onto a nearby helicopter sticks his head through the glass in a pretty sweet scene.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, that's basically the end of the fight that we see, and we get our cliffhanger at the end here as we go back to police headquarters, with basically everybody flipping out that there's this scene going down on the rooftop. Everybody needs to spring into action. The captain's like, "Where's my symbiote task force?" And
Yeah.
the other partner to this whole FBI sting thing, he's like, been defunded. There is one person in the task force, and that one person shows up, and it happens to be none other than why don't you spoil it for us there, Trevitt? Who is it?
It's Eddie Brock himself, the first
Yeah.
host.
It's like, what the hell do you want? I'll
Your
take
eyes
care of
don't
this.
deceive you, readers. This is not a trick, not an illusion, not a parallel reality. Eddie Brock is back. Don't miss Venom #6.
Yeah. So and then that's where I'm a little confused here. You mentioned issue 150 is next.
I thought.
So I don't know if issue 6 is issue 150 or not. I'm a little mixed up there.
And it says right here, it says next Venom, we're back, and it says on sale next month. But I think I saw the cover for it. I think this is the cover right here with Eddie Brock saying we're back, pointing at like us. And I think the cover of 150 is Spider-Man and Venom fighting, but I think it's Eddie Brock Venom. So this might be an introductory issue into Venom 150. So maybe it's after
this. I think is issues. Yeah, I think this is going to be issue 6, and then they're going to pick up the numbering at 150, the issue after 6.
Yeah, and then after 150, what are we going to get? We're going to get 151, 152, 153, because they're going back to their original numbering for all the books.
That's the rumor. We'll see.
We will.
Anyway, you guys know how we end up doing things around here. We tell you to buy it, to borrow it, or to forget it altogether. I think I went first last week, so Trevor, why don't you go ahead?
All right. Well, I like the art in this book a lot. Geraldo Sandoval does a great job. It's kind of like, it's almost a little Umberto Ramos-y kind of, like it reminds me of his style a little bit. I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy the symbiote in this book. It's my favorite character in this book is not Lee, it's the symbiote. I mean, the dialogue between Lee and the symbiote is great. Seeing it get its personality. Mike Costa does a great job giving this thing a life of its own. And the story so far has been great. Like, it's not this epic, amazing story, but it's a really good, solid story. That's I mean, I don't know if we explained it well enough to make it sound like it's easy to follow, but it's easy to follow. It's very, very enjoyable. I mean, this book is a buy for me overall. Like, I would tell anybody who enjoys Venom to go buy this book. I mean, it's pretty quirky. It's interesting. I got used to Lee, but I think we're going to lose Lee and get Eddie Brock back. Yeah. And I think when that happens, I think the title's going to get even better. And I can't wait to see what this book holds for the future, because they could do some really interesting things here. So it's a consistent buy. I mean, I think not only should you buy it, but you should stick with it, because I think a lot of crazy awesome stuff is going to happen in the future. So I'm sold on this series.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I would buy it as well. It's a story I would probably pick up the back issues for. I don't know if I would jump in at 5 and how much you would understand what's going on.
Yeah, it'd be pretty confusing.
Catch up on it. But you don't necessarily have to read the previous series, the Venom Space Knight stuff, to understand this one. So, you can pick up the first 5 issues of this series, find pretty cheap now at this point, because I don't think it's a super popular book, but, catch up on it in no time and be up to pace with what's going on for when it hits the big numbers again, if you want to be on board for that. The art is I keep saying, the art is one of my favorite at Marvel right now. I know a lot of people have their name attached to the art team on this book, but you can't really tell at any point that there's a whole bunch of people on it. And it's kind of like a 3D looking thing and scratchy at the same time. And it's a cool way to draw a comic book, if you ask me. And the story is, again, there's a couple different layers to it that are pretty straightforward, and who's going to come out on top of everybody trying to get their get the upper hand. And I'm super interested in it. I'm going to keep following it. I don't have a huge Marvel pull list at this point in time, but this is one of the books on it. So yeah, buy it. Go buy some books, guys. Buy Venom.
I do have a pretty big Marvel pull list, and this is one of my favorite books on it. Marvel doesn't put a lot of good books right now, but this is definitely one of them. Highly recommended, especially with a pool of crap right now. This is one of the shining lights in the pool of crap. And earlier you said not to listen to the comic book roundup scores. I mean, this thing gets an overall of 6.2, which is bullshit. I mean, this book is way better than 6.2.
Yeah, it should be higher. I might have to start doing it on Marvel Mondays to get the score up a little bit.
It should at least be a 7.5, like easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not perfect, by any means, but it's entertaining. I burned through, I caught up on it yesterday. I'll be honest. I haven't been following it all the way through. I read issue 1, but I burned through 4 issues last night because I read them in no time because it was super interesting. I was engaged. I wasn't confused, and the art was amazing, So
yeah. I mean, some
give
books
it a try.
Yeah, some books when you read them, like they could be like the dialogue could be like, I don't want to say hard to follow, but maybe just not that great or a little stale. So it's like a lot of issues that I buy I find like hard to read, but this is one of those books that I read like fluidly, like every panel, every page, like I go through it, just like it's very well written, like very well written.
Yeah, the writer is Mike Costas, so he's been doing a great job on these 5 issues so far. I would if this doesn't work out, I hope he sticks around at Marvel and gets another book because I really like his style. It's
cool. I do too. I've never read anything by him before, but
I can't think of anything that comes to the top of my head either.
No, but if he has a secondary title that pops up, or if this book doesn't work out and he gets another one, I would definitely hop on that next book.
Yeah. But yeah, so give it a try, and if you don't like it, you guys can find us on Twitter. You can find me at Beamer3660. You can yell at me and tell me it sucked, or you can yell at Trevitt. And Trevitt, where can they find you?
You could find me on Twitter at Afronaddict or on Instagram at Trevitt's Comics.
Yeah. So, or even if you like it, don't yell at us and tell us we were right. We also like to hear that.
I got it right here.
So stay tuned for our poll on Monday. We'll check out the books. We'll put a few up, and you guys can tell us what you want to hear about. And in the meantime, party is over on this end, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Later. Oh, check this out.